Hello, hello, everyone. Come on in to our session 4. We're going to get started here in just a minute. We're talking about the must-haves of 100,000 resume. Now, y'all know if you are trying to move up the corporate ladder, that you need to be in on this session because we have Ashley Cash, and her last name says it all. Ashley Cash. So Ashley is going to break down to us some of the things that you need to have in your resume to help you attract those 100K and higher jobs. You know, she has spent 14 years. Let me just give you a little bit of her experience, but she spent 14 years in the hiring, firing, and managing teams for some of the biggest organizations that we know about. We're talking about Coca-Cola. We're talking about Whirlpool. We're talking about Global Life. So when I tell you that Ashley is about to drop all kinds of gems on us, she is. So at this time, I'm going to bring Miss Ashley Cash up to give us all of the details of what you need to do to land your next high-paying job. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me. I feel like I really need to bring the heat after that introduction. So I don't know about you guys watching this, but Joy, you definitely have elevated my energy with that introduction. I am thrilled to be here. I am thrilled to be a part of an organization like Career Thrivers, and of course, using this time to advance Black professionals. So like Joy said, we're going to get this party started, right? So the first thing we want to do, though, which is important to me, is we have to get the vibe and the energy right. So if you just had lunch or you've been kind of eating in between webinars today, one thing I want you to do in the chat is I just want you to type in one thing that has brought you joy this week. It could be large or small. Maybe you got some good news you want to share, but I want you to put in the chat some things that have brought you joy. And Joy, if you don't mind, as those come in, will you read them out?
Absolutely. Come on, y'all. Well, I can just share mine. You know, it's just great to be here. This is bringing me joy because anytime we're advancing Black professionals and getting access to people like you, Ashley, that is bringing me joy. Let's see. Passing of the Equality Act, sunshine. Yeah. People say this experience, Ashley, you are the highlight of somebody's day today. Come on with it. And people are talking about attending the summit is great. People are just sharing all of the things that have brought them joy today. So you're just bringing all of the energy.
I love it.
Somebody said the Slutty Vegan Tour is coming up tomorrow in Nashville. Ooh. Lots of great things going on. So we're really excited, but majority of people are talking about you, Ashley, and this summit and how this is going to be life-changing for them.
Well, let's get to it. Well, I don't know about you guys, but seeing, and I saw I think Lydia just got a promotion or a new role in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes, do the work. But seeing the things that bring you guys joy absolutely brings me joy. And so that said, let's do it. Let's get right in. So not that I could top Joy's introduction, but in case you missed any of that, if you're wondering sort of how I became the person or the expert on six-figure plus resumes, it really was after a really explosive career in some big corporations like Coca-Cola, Whirlpool, Globe Life, hiring, firing, and managing teams. And I just want to encourage anyone right now who, you know, you might feel like you're in a role that you're over or you're ready to move on from, but just know as you grow in your career, even a business or what have you, you get to take all those experiences with you. And so that really was the foundation of how my business got started. Being in those rooms, getting the inside scoop on how hiring and salary decisions got made, you know, I took that position as sometimes being the only woman, the only Black person, the youngest person in the room. I really took that as an opportunity to really get the inside scoop on how a lot of decisions got made. And so I'm able to share that with my clients and you guys from that perspective. And so I created coaching and courses that teach my clients how to get hired and get paid. So in addition to the six-figure plus resume writing that my company does, we also offer coaching and also online courses to really help you advance your career. So let's talk a little bit about who I've helped or who I work with. And so I work with high impact, high income professionals who have done it all. gotten the results, but sometimes struggle to articulate it. And that's something that, if that resonates with you, just give me a quick yes in the chat. What I mean by that is, and it's probably like everyone watching this session, you know you are dope, you know you are the one, putting out the fires, working on the big projects. But sometimes, especially when it comes to your resume, it's kind of tough to figure out, how do I take, all the hats, all the things, and articulate that in a way that is compelling and clear and concise, that really paints me as an expert and not so much sort of this like Jack or Jill of all trades, right? Like, you can do it all, but it's kind of like, how do I put all that together? And how do I put that together in a way that makes me the big bucks, right? Because I saw on Instagram the other day, magic costs money, which when I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, that's my new motto, right? So that is who I work with. I work industry agnostic, from mid-level professionals all the way up to the C-suite. Again, my clients are typically high earners and high achievers, or aspiring. Some of my clients aren't quite high earners yet, but they work with me to get there. And then again, from an industry standpoint, HR to data scientists to executives, you name it. Okay, so now the reason that you're here, what are the must-haves of the 100K plus, right? Emphasis on the plus resume, because inflation, 100K isn't what it used to be. So I'm going to make this really simple and really easy, and then I'm going to make sure that I leave plenty of time for specific questions. Okay, so the first thing that a 100K plus resume has, and this might be surprising to some of you, is clean formatting. Okay, it's not a matter of how much stuff can I cram onto a resume, right? No credential left behind. It really is about how clean is the resume and making it easy for the eye to know where to land. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a little bit. The second thing is no resume language. Now, I want you all to promise me that you're not going to log off the webinar when I say this, okay? But what I mean by resume language is, I mean that, results-oriented, professional, ouch, right? It was like stepping on toes. Sort of that language that sort of everyone kind of has on their resume. It's on there, but it doesn't really mean anything. So 100K plus resumes don't have resume language. And I'll show you what they have instead. The third thing is that compelling professional summary. I'll illustrate that for you. And then the last and final thing, which I consider probably one of the most important things, is that it focuses on the relevant and the results, right? Again, it is not a matter of no accomplishment or no duty left behind. It is really honed in on what's important. Okay, the chat got quiet on me. I hope no one logged off after I said no results-oriented professional. So, all right, yeah, and Sandra just asked that I talk a little bit about a resume versus a CV. I will. I'll probably do that at the end, so don't let me forget, okay? So the first thing that we want to talk about in terms of this 100K plus resume, there's literally one rule, right? Like a rule that you have to follow. Depending on who you ask, you will hear people say, oh, 1 page max. No, 2 pages is okay. Last 10 years, blah, 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 right? It just depends on who you ask. But literally, there's really only one set of rules that you must follow. And I'm going to talk about that sort of, how long does it have to be thing. I have never in my life as a decision maker picked up the phone to hire someone or interview someone because they had a 1-page resume. Conversely, I have never not picked up the phone to interview a candidate because their resume was 2 pages, okay? It's not a factor. So, but let's talk about the things that you absolutely have to have. The first thing is it must be searchable, right? So everyone knows or kind of knows about the applicant tracking system. And if you don't know, basically all that is when you apply for a job online, what you see on the interface is a screen where you upload your resume, you put in your contact information, that part, right? Well, that resume or that application that you have just completed is ingested into an applicant tracking system. And what it is it just kind of operates almost like a search engine. It is looking for the most applicable keywords, phrases, and context to decide who goes in the yes pile and who goes in the no pile. So before a human being typically will see your resume, if you're applying online, a computer is going to be looking or searching it almost like Google. So you want to make sure that you have applicable keywords to your industry. And let me illustrate that point just a little bit further. I had a client, one of my favorites, actually all of them are my favorite, but she had a pretty extensive career in sort of more retail management, sort of retail operations, and she was wanting to pivot into HR. And I looked at her resume and I was like, hey, I see a lot of cool things that are transferable that I think we can really work with here. But there is not one mention of human resources on this resume. And that might seem sort of like, an obvious or like, man, why didn't I think of that? But when I said it to her, she was like, oh my goodness, no wonder no one's calling me back, right? As simple as, the type of role that she was applying to, which was HR focused, she never had that one term, human resources, on her resume, right? I would say, I'm like, you need to have human resources among other terms on your resume more than once if you're trying to, pivot or work in a specific field. So that is what I mean by searchable. And I hope that makes sense. The next thing, and kind of making that same point, is that it must be specific to the job for which you are applying. Okay. What I mean by that is, again, if you are that person who kind of does it all, who can do it all, who wears many hats, who has many skills, anywhere they put you, boom, you can do it. You're going to get the job done. I love that. But if you are applying for a job, let's keep our HR scenario, right? If you are applying for an HR business partner role, right, you might dial out on some of the skills or experiences that maybe aren't as applicable, right? So if somehow or another, your boss put you on a project where you were, I don't know, responsible for revamping the office supply ordering system, just again, because it's something that you could do and you never turn projects down. That's not necessarily something that is going to help you land that HR business partner role, right? Or if you're looking to be a program director for a company, again, think about what is relevant to being a program director. And then any of the experience that isn't, take it back. I'm sorry, not take it back, delete it. And don't worry about your resume being skimpy. Again, remember, there's no rules, right? If you dialing in on something very specific condenses your resume to one sheet, so be it. In fact, you're going to get more attention than the person who's just trying to stack their resume with every and anything that they've ever done. The third and final thing is once you've gotten through, the computer, the applicant tracking system, you've really honed in on what's specific. The third and final thing is you want to make sure that your resume is scannable. And that is when it finally gets in the hand of a decision maker, right? A recruiter, a hiring manager, HR coordinator, whomever. That person is not reading your resume line for line or making sort of inferences, right? Like, oh, I want to leave that on here because I think that shows blah, blah, blah. No, the person looking at your resume is giving it a scan at best for the applicable keywords, phrases, and context, okay? That's it, you're just getting the scan. And these people, myself included, as a decision maker, I'm putting on my decision maker hat over this afro, we're very literal. Either it's there or it isn't, right? Again, there are no inferences of like, oh, well, maybe that means. No, if you led multi-million-dollar projects, that's what I'm looking for. If you are someone who has managed, employees across 4 sites and two of those are global, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. So just make sure if you're thinking about revamping your resume, these are the rules that you follow. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this already, so I won't spend too much time here. The big important thing, especially for that scan test, and I'm talking about when a human being, a decision maker, is looking for your resume, is that clean formatting. And the reason why clean formatting is so important, think about how your eye scans a document, right? You're looking for a place to land, but if you have, super dense, heavy text, right? Like that Times New Roman font doesn't quite give my eye anywhere to land. White space, adequate spacing between bullets and text, that really helps with the scan. It helps my eye know where to land. The second thing that you want to do is you want to make sure the most relevant information goes first. And y'all know that, right? Again, if I'm scanning, right, if I'm just kind of left to right, top to bottom, the most important stuff, hint, that means the notable client. That means the amount of the budget. That means the number of people that you're managing, right? The big, juicy, important stuff, the stuff that perks people up like, oh, okay, you got experience with global teams, right? That's what I want to see up first. The third thing is you want to focus on the last 10 years and summarize the rest. Now, if you're watching this and you've been working, you heard in my introduction, my career spans about 14 years. And so even for my very own resume, I don't have it necessarily like a gap. For anything over 10 years old, I have the company name, the title, and the date. I don't worry about sort of like trying to give bullets or a summary of what that role was. It's listed from a chronological standpoint, but I'm not expanding on that. And here's the reason why. One of the reasons why. One, as a society, we are definitely, what have you done for me lately, right? The other thing is that throughout our careers, no matter what sector or industry you work in, technologies have changed, methodologies have changed. There's all sort of innovation and changes that have taken place over the last decade. And so you really want to position yourself as one who is experienced, yes, but also very current and aware of, trends, best practices in today's marketplace. And again, 2 pages max, just trust me on this. Do not exceed 2 pages. Get to 1.5 pages, 2 pages, totally fine. Okay, so now let's talk about no resume language. Okay, this is the one that I always feel like I'm stepping on toes a little bit, but I'm doing it out of love, I promise, okay? So what I mean by no resume language is I want you to think about on your resume, I want you using clear, concise, and industry appropriate language to tell the reader who you are, what you do, and what you've accomplished for the organization, okay? So instead of saying I'm results oriented, I want you to think about that from the vantage point of a result. So that could be, let's say sales professional who landed $10 million in new business contracts, right? That's the result, right? So imagine if the first line of a resume said results oriented sales professional, right? Or it said sales professional who's landed $10 million in new contracts in the last 12 months, right? Which one, if you were the decision maker, would you be like, yes? How soon can you get in here for an interview? You tell me, right? Don't sort of gloss over the results. Tell the reader what it is. That's what makes people get excited. Yeah, Joyce says number 2 for sure. No detail oriented. You know what I mean? What exactly does detail oriented mean? If you're in a field that really requires a high attention to detail, what does that look like? Does that mean that you're analytical? Does that mean you're someone who is able to sort of manage at the macro and micro level, that you're good with managing project details and schedules, or creating clear, concise communications, right? What does that exactly mean when someone says detail oriented? And so the other thing, the third and final thing, and if any of these phrases are on your resume, just give me a yes in the chat. If you have detail oriented, results oriented, or proven track record, just give me a quick yes so I know you're still with me. But the same thing with a proven track record, right? Again, the decision maker is not going to make any inferences what that means. And if you think about it, right, you don't have a track record with the person reading the resume. You're making a new introduction to that person. So if you are saying, hey, I have this proven track record, summarize that. What does that mean? Does it mean, again, right, I'm that sales professional who, for my career has generated $100 million in new business and renewal contracts? that's the proven track record. I have one of my executive clients, she works in economic development, and on her professional summary, what we have is she has brokered or facilitated like $40 million in capital to startup and minority owned businesses, right? Talk about a track record, right? That's what I want to see as a decision maker. So just make it plain. Tell me, brag, have the audacity to call it out. Okay, so let's talk about the next piece of that. Oh, Kenya, you're so sweet. Thank you. The next piece is your interesting and compelling professional summary. And don't be shy. If you're not sure what I mean by professional summary, just type a question mark in the chat. Like no shade, no shame. If I need to kind of explain what a professional summary is, I will. Okay, Teresa, thank you for being vulnerable and honest. So depending on, and maybe I'm aging myself, I don't know. So way back when, resumes used to have an objective, right? And it used to be like, marketing professional seeking a role in a fast-paced marketing environment or something like that, right? And it was sort of that first sentence underneath your contact information, right? So you think about a resume, you've got like your name, Ashley Cash, you've got your contact information, maybe some professional branding like marketing executive. And then the first sentence of your resume is your professional summary. Some people might call that a summary or a profile, right? It's basically literally at a glance who you are and what you do. Paul says you do. So yeah, Paul, the professional summary has replaced the objective. So let me know, Teresa and Jay, if that makes sense a little bit. So again, it is the first sentence on your resume. So now what we want to do though is, again, we're thinking about the very first sentence. Okay, you want people to be like, yes, I'm getting ready to call Teresa. Yes, I'm getting ready to call Jay. So the very easy way to do that is start with, who are you? Okay, so you see kind of the two-column format I have here. The first one says, senior digital marketing professional. And the reason why I like that format is because it automatically tells the person your career level. So if you're experienced, you can absolutely start with senior. You could replace the word professional with, let's say, executive, right? But it really does tell the reader, okay, boom, this person is someone who is, one, in digital marketing, and two, they've been doing it for a while. And then the second part of that is, and just think of these as like I statements, right? So it's like, I create and execute campaigns that make people click. Now, if you know anything about digital marketing, that's kind of the goal, right? Among other things. But what I'm saying is, whatever your expertise is, make it plain. Say it just like that, right? Again, if it is a decision maker or maybe someone fresh out of college who's in their entry-level role as a recruiter, anybody reading this can get that and be like, yes, I want to call this person in for an interview. Some other examples here: business leader turned HR recruiter. I love to use the word turned, especially if you're pivoting, because I think that really does show the reader that you have other expertise that you can bring into the role. And so you'll see this person, what they do is they match top talent based on business needs and goals. You'll see the other examples, things like awarded, right? You could easily change the word awarded to certified. Like maybe you are a certified DE&I practitioner or something like that, or maybe you have your PMP, for example. So you can absolutely, interchange those. But again, you're just calling out the good stuff first. All right, so I'm going to challenge anyone who feels up to it as I get ready to close out, if they want to take a stab at their interesting and compelling professional summary. Okay, and so then the last and final slide that I prepared for you guys is just really a quick recap. If you're thinking like, wow, this was great, but I still don't know what to do, and it's totally fine if you feel that way. Again, you want to practice, matter of fact, take a picture of this, take a picture of this. You want to focus on relevant and results, right? So you want to be thinking, when I look at a role, what will I be doing? So look at the job description. You can look at reviews of the role. You can even ask people in your network who might have been in similar roles or that industry. think about what did you do in your previous roles, right? And focus on people, projects, and processes, right? This will kind of help whittle down, okay, I've done a lot. What should I talk about, right? The job description will help guide you. And then you can say, okay, what either people, projects, or processes relate to that job description. And then, of course, you've got to focus on the so what. Who cares what you did if there was no benefit? So you want to be thinking in terms of, did I increase or decrease something? Is there a count or a total that I can call out? Was there a budget that I managed, right? But the sky is the limit. Nobody's going to fact check you. Nobody's going to check you on, if you did or you didn't. If you contributed to something, you can totally count that. So that is actually all I presented for you guys. I hope I have enough time for questions. I want to be obviously respectful of Brittany's summit. And then lastly, I'll just call out, I'll actually throw this in the chat too. If you feel like you could benefit from a resume review, I actually offer that as a complimentary service. So you can absolutely submit your resume to me, and I will be more than happy to give you a complimentary resume review. I'm going to turn it back. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ashley, this has been so good. I see why they named you Cash. I think your last name is like prophetic, right? You're helping people get cash. But, I know there was a question earlier that I wanted to get to. Someone had asked earlier, what's the difference between a resume and a CV? And I know we're close to wrapping up, but I wanted to make sure that we answered that question.
Yeah, so a CV is going to be much longer than a resume. A CV is typically going to really be a thorough account of your career progression. Again, it's much more detailed, and you will typically see CVs used in academia and higher ed. Now, I do not write CVs. I'm not built for that, but that is the difference. Most jobs outside of academia will typically ask for just a resume.
Okay, that was so helpful. And Brittany said a spoiler alert. So I want to know, Brittany, when are we going to be giving away this free session with Ashley? Because one of the other things is, even if you don't win the free session, wanted to let you know that Ashley is part of the Career Thrivers Powerhouse coaching team. Brittany has a team of coaches that works with her, so that if you ever want to get access to her, in addition to doing the complimentary, like she said, the review of your website, the review of your resume, definitely take advantage of that. But she is part of our team. So I'm sure Brittany is going to drop in the Career Thrivers platform how you can win access, unless she's going to say something.
Yes, I will. I'll jump in here real quick, Joy. One, Ashley, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much from even beyond today. So thank you for who you are and how you add value to this team. I'm excited to help. Yeah, cash money conversations. Okay, I see you, Chandra. I'm with you. and typically Ashley is behind her money wall. And, just stay tuned for that. Maybe we can get her to send us a picture of her money wall, and we'll post it on our news feed so you can check out the affirmations that keep her in the flow of bringing in the dough. Okay, no, anyway, the giveaway today, I'm so excited. This has been great so far. And so we've got several giveaways, but here's the thing. We're sharing all of that at 4:45. So we have some very special presentations happening to wrap up today at 4:45. So make sure you're tuned in for that. Here are a couple things that you can go ahead and do though to get in the running for the free resume sessions. And we're actually going to do 2 of those. So we're going to do 2 of those for 2 professionals that are joining us today that need to not only have the resume reviewed, but have it updated. So part of Ashley's premium service. So listen, here's what you can do. I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to share my screen because of the time. So I'm going to direct you in terms of where to go. So on the platform, there are 2 things I want you to take a look at. If you click on topics, so just keep that in mind, you'll see both of them. So one, today is going so well that we want to do this. We've had some time to kind of have some conversation this morning. And so I want you to think in your mind right now of 2 people that you know that this information would be helpful for. 2 people that you know of that maybe couldn't register or didn't know about this, but you're like, man, I have this colleague or this friend or even this family member that this would be really valuable for them. What we've done, if you click on topics, there is a link and you can invite them in to join you. So one, grab that link. If you know somebody, send them a quick text, say, hey, get in here. Don't miss this. Get in here. We are rolling, and we'll tell you some more at the end of the day about how you can access the replays as well. So we've done that for you. Also, there on topics, you'll see a question that says, how is APP 2021 Summit going? What's your favorite moment? So drop your response in that topic, and we are going to keep track for this giveaway. All right. So we will see you all in our next session that is literally starting now. So we are coming up on playing catch up, but I'm excited about this conversation. We've got our Dell partners, and we're going to dive into how do you equip your Black ERG to thrive. So if you are at an organization with an employee resource group, or you're at an organization where you want to have an employee resource group, you do not want to miss this conversation with Paul and Tiffany. So Ashley, thank you again, everyone. We'll see you at the next session.